Have you ever stopped to wonder what happens when someone loses you? Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, deeply. It's easy to dismiss the idea with a casual shrug, assuming people move on quickly. But what if they don't? What if in ways you can't see, they feel the weight of your absence far more profoundly than you think? For women, this loss often cuts deeper, not because of weakness, but because of strength, the strength to connect, to build meaning, to see you not just for who you were, but for everything you could have been in their lives. It's not just about losing you, the person. It's about losing the future they imagined with you in it. From a Stoic perspective, loss is a teacher, and relationships are more than fleeting connections. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Women often internalize this wisdom without even realizing it. They hold space for you in their minds and hearts in ways that often go unnoticed, even by themselves. Your words, your energy, the way you laughed at something silly or stood silent when the world felt heavy, these moments leave imprints. When you're gone, those imprints don't disappear. They linger, echoing in quiet corners of their lives. But here's the part no one tells you, that loss isn't always about you. It's about them, the depth of their love, the way they saw you as a mirror to their hopes and vulnerabilities. And when that mirror cracks, it forces them to confront not just the loss of you, but parts of themselves. Feeling curious yet? Let's dive deeper into why this happens and what it says about connection, value, and the invisible threads of relationships. The weight of emotional imprints. When you leave someone's life, especially a woman who cared for you deeply, it's not just the absence of your physical presence that's felt. What lingers, often unspoken but profoundly impactful, are the emotional imprints you've left behind. These imprints are like echoes, sometimes faint, sometimes overwhelming, that revisit her in quiet moments. From the Stoic perspective, these feelings arise because we naturally assign value to experiences and people that resonate with our core. Seneca aptly wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." For women, this imaginative suffering can amplify the emotional loss of someone they once valued. Think about it. In the time you were together, you didn't just exist as a person, you became an experience. Every shared laugh, meaningful conversation, or moment of vulnerability was like a brushstroke on the canvas of her life. When you're gone, those brushstrokes don't vanish. Instead, they become part of the picture she now has to reconcile without your presence. It's not just memories, it's the emotional associations tied to those memories. The way you smiled when she needed comfort, the tone of your voice when you encouraged her, or even the way you argued but later made peace. All of it becomes a collage that remains even after you've left the frame. From a Stoic lens, these emotional imprints reflect a universal truth. Humans attach meaning to interactions because we are social beings. Women, who are often more in tune with their emotional intelligence, naturally pick up on nuances that many men may overlook. This isn't a flaw, it's a testament to their capacity for connection. However, when those connections are severed, it creates a vacuum. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." For her, losing you means processing a flood of thoughts and emotions that stain her inner world, for better or worse. And here's the thing most people miss. It's not always about you, the person, but what you represented. Perhaps you symbolized safety, excitement, or a future filled with possibility. When that symbol is gone, it leaves her not just mourning your absence, but grappling with the void of what she believed you stood for. This dual loss, the person and the meaning, makes the experience of losing you a multi-layered process. But this isn't about blame or regret. Stoicism teaches us to accept life's impermanence and to find strength in understanding its cycles. As Epictetus emphasized, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. For her, the pain of losing you may ultimately lead to growth. The emotional imprints you left behind force her to confront her vulnerabilities, reassess her desires, and rediscover her strength. In the end, emotional imprints are a natural part of human connection. They're a reminder of the beauty and complexity of relationships. For her, losing you may feel heavy, but it also teaches resilience. For you, understanding this weight can foster a deeper respect for the way you navigate future relationships. And that's a lesson worth carrying forward. The void of unfinished stories. When a meaningful connection ends, especially one where a woman has emotionally invested herself, what often hurts most isn't just the loss of the person, it's the loss of the story that could have been. Humans are natural storytellers, weaving narratives out of experiences to make sense of life and relationships. Women, in particular, tend to envision futures in vivid detail, imagining not just who you are today, but who you might become together. When you leave, it's not just your presence that's gone, it's the future she had crafted in her mind. This void of unfinished stories can be more painful than the loss itself. In the Stoic tradition, there's a powerful concept of focusing on the present and not being ruled by what could have been. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Yet when a relationship ends, it's not always the present moment she mourns, it's the imagined life where you were part of her tomorrow. Every shared goal, every unspoken dream, every plan for the future becomes a what-if that now exists in limbo, unresolved and incomplete." Think about this. Relationships, at their core, are partnerships in creating meaning. Whether it's a simple habit like a favorite weekend ritual or a larger dream like building a life together, these shared experiences turn into threads of a bigger story. When one person leaves, those threads don't just vanish. They fray and unravel, leaving behind a sense of incompleteness. For her, this incompleteness isn't just emotional, it's deeply psychological. It's the unanswered question of why didn't it work and what could have been, replaying in her mind, creating a loop that's hard to break. From a Stoic viewpoint, the pain of this void can be a catalyst for reflection and growth. Epictetus emphasized, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." In other words, the loss of a relationship and the unfulfilled story that comes with it offers an opportunity to let go of control and accept life's impermanence. But acceptance doesn't come easily. For her, the narrative of what you meant in her life is now interrupted, and closure often feels like trying to finish a book when the last chapter is missing. Ultimately, the void of unfinished stories is a painful but powerful teacher. For her, it's a reminder of her resilience and her capacity to write new chapters. For you, it's a call to recognize the depth of connection and to navigate relationships with wisdom and respect. And in that understanding, there's growth for everyone. The mirror of identity. One of the deepest reasons a woman may feel the loss of you more than you think lies in the way relationships shape identity. When two people come together, they don't just share experiences, they reflect aspects of each other back, like mirrors. In your presence, she might have seen parts of herself more clearly, her strengths, vulnerabilities, dreams, and even her fears. Losing you isn't just about losing a companion, it's about losing the mirror that helped her see and understand herself. This is why the loss often feels so personal and profound. It shakes her sense of self. The Stoics understood this dynamic well. Epictetus wrote, Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Relationships, however, complicate this process. They don't just reveal who we are, they shape who we think we can become. In your role as a partner, you may have brought out qualities in her that she loved or aspired to embrace. Perhaps you encouraged her confidence, amplified her joy, or simply made her feel understood in a way few others did. When you're gone, it's not just the relationship that ends, it's the part of herself she felt connected to through you. Imagine this. In your time together, you may have been the voice reminding her of her potential, or the person who made her feel safe to express her true self. Even your flaws, your struggles, and the way you faced life may have influenced how she viewed her own challenges. Ultimately, the loss of this mirror can be transformative. For her, it's an invitation to rediscover herself, not through someone else's reflection, but by looking inward and embracing the person she is, independent of any relationship. For you, it's a chance to reflect on the kind of mirror you are in others' lives and to strive for integrity in every connection. In this way, the loss becomes more than an ending. It becomes a path to growth, clarity, and a deeper understanding of self for both people involved. The emotional currency of time. When a woman feels the loss of you, it isn't just about who you were to her. It's about the time she invested in you and the relationship. Time is one of the most precious resources we have, and once it's spent, it can never be reclaimed. From a Stoic perspective, time is a gift that should be valued above all else. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In the aftermath of a breakup, a woman may feel the sting of wasted time, time she spent loving, supporting, and believing in something that ultimately didn't last. Think of the emotional currency she poured into the connection. Hours spent listening, encouraging, or simply being there for you. Every moment she invested was a piece of her life she chose to give, a conscious choice to prioritize you. When you're gone, the sense of loss is tied not just to the absence of your presence, but to the realization that all the time and energy she gave is now locked in the past. It's not just heartbreak, it's the grief of realizing that the future she worked toward will no longer materialize. This feeling of loss is compounded by the fact that time in relationships is rarely neutral. It's not just about the days spent together, it's about the emotional highs and lows that made that time feel significant. A spontaneous adventure, a quiet moment of connection, or even a fight that ended in resolution. These moments shape how she remembers the time you shared. And now, with the relationship over, those memories carry a weight they didn't have before. In the end, the loss of time isn't about regret. It's about perspective. For her, the relationship may feel like a closed door, but the lessons learned and the memories created are hers to carry forward. For you, understanding the emotional weight of time can shape how you approach future relationships, teaching you to value and respect the gift of someone's presence. The pain of time lost can, in fact, become the foundation for more intentional and meaningful connections in the future. The residual power of vulnerability. One of the most profound reasons a woman may feel the loss of you more than you realize is tied to vulnerability. In relationships, true intimacy comes when both people allow their walls to come down. Vulnerability is a gift. It's raw, unfiltered honesty about who we are, what we fear, and what we hope for. When a woman opens up to you, sharing the depths of her heart, she's not just giving you her trust, she's also allowing you into a space that not everyone gets to see. Losing you means losing someone who held access to that vulnerable version of herself, and that loss can feel as though a piece of her identity has been taken with you. The Stoics viewed vulnerability in an interesting way. They believed in controlling emotions, and not letting external circumstances dictate inner peace. Yet, they also recognized that strength comes from understanding and accepting human frailty. Epictetus wrote, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Don't wish to seem knowledgeable." In the context of relationships, vulnerability is a form of this acceptance. It's an acknowledgement that no one has all the answers, that we lean on others to find clarity and meaning. Think about what vulnerability means in practice. It's not just the big emotional moments like crying in front of you or confessing her deepest insecurities. It's the little things too, sharing her silly quirks, showing you her unfiltered thoughts, or even letting you witness her struggles when life felt overwhelming. These moments create a bond, a space where she feels safe being herself without judgment. Ultimately, the loss of someone who held her vulnerability is more than just a breakup. It's a shift in how she views herself and the world. For her, it's an opportunity to grow stronger, to build resilience, and to rediscover the beauty in her openness. For you, it's a chance to understand the gravity of what it means to truly see someone and to carry that understanding into every connection you make. Vulnerability is never wasted. It's the foundation of everything meaningful. The invisible bonds of shared growth. One of the most overlooked reasons a woman feels the loss of you so deeply is tied to the unseen but powerful bond created through shared growth. Relationships aren't just about love or companionship. They're often a journey of becoming better versions of ourselves. When you were a part of her life, you weren't just a partner, you were a co-pilot in her personal evolution. Losing you isn't just about the absence of your presence. It's about the disruption of that mutual growth, the journey you were on together that now feels incomplete. Shared growth in a relationship is subtle but transformative. It's in the way two people inspire each other to take risks, face challenges, or embrace dreams they might not have pursued alone. Maybe you encouraged her to follow a passion she once hesitated to chase, or maybe she saw in you a drive that motivated her to strive for more in her own life. These moments of mutual upliftment are the building blocks of a deeper bond. When that bond breaks, what remains is a lingering sense of what now? She may feel not only the pain of your absence, but also the loss of that momentum, that shared rhythm that made her feel she was moving forward with someone who understood her. From a Stoic perspective, this concept aligns with the idea that relationships should be a partnership in virtue and self-improvement. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." In her eyes, you were likely not just someone to share her life with, but someone who influenced how she viewed herself and her potential. When you're no longer there, the growth you once fostered together can feel stalled, as if the path forward has become unclear. It's not that she's incapable of growing on her own, but the unique way your presence catalyzed that growth is now gone. Shared growth is one of the most beautiful aspects of a relationship, and its loss is one of the hardest to reconcile. But it also carries a powerful lesson, that growth is ultimately personal, and while others may walk beside us, the journey is always our own. For her, it's a path of rediscovery and resilience. For you, it's a chance to honor the bonds you create and leave behind a legacy of positivity and encouragement in every relationship you touch. The emotional echo of safety. One of the most profound and often unspoken reasons a woman feels the loss of you more deeply than you might expect is tied to the sense of safety you once provided. Relationships are not just about love or companionship. They're about creating a sanctuary where two people can feel understood, protected, and at peace. For many women, the emotional safety cultivated within a relationship becomes a cornerstone of their lives. When you leave, it's not just your presence that's gone. It's the refuge she found in you, and the absence of that safety can leave an ache that reverberates far beyond the end of the relationship. Safety in a relationship isn't limited to physical protection. It's emotional and psychological too. It's knowing that someone has your back, that you can be vulnerable without fear of judgment, and that your struggles are met with empathy rather than indifference. Perhaps with you, she felt she could let her guard down in a way she rarely could with others. Maybe you were the person she could talk to after a long day, the one who held space for her fears and insecurities without dismissing them. That sense of safety, once built, becomes a powerful foundation in her life, and its absence can feel like the ground beneath her has shifted. From a Stoic perspective, safety is an illusion rooted in our attachment to external circumstances. Epictetus reminded us, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." While Stoicism encourages individuals to cultivate inner security that doesn't depend on others, the reality is that human connection plays a significant role in creating a sense of stability. For her, your presence might have been one of the anchors that helped her navigate the chaos of life. Losing you means losing that anchor, leaving her adrift in a way that feels deeply unsettling. The emotional echo of safety doesn't fade overnight, and that's why the loss of you feels so significant to her. But in that loss is the potential for growth, for her to rebuild her sense of stability, and for you to better understand the profound impact you have on the lives you touch. Safety, after all, is one of the greatest gifts we can give or receive in a relationship. Recognizing its importance can transform the way we connect with others, leaving a legacy of trust and compassion in every bond we create. The loss of shared dreams. One of the most poignant reasons a woman feels the loss of you so deeply is because, when she was with you, she didn't just see the present, you became part of her future. Relationships aren't merely about the moments shared today, they're about the dreams built together for tomorrow. Losing you doesn't just mean the end of what was. It means letting go of the plans, hopes, and visions she had for the life you were supposed to create together. It's the loss of shared dreams, and that's a void that feels bigger than the relationship itself. When she imagined a future with you, it wasn't just about practical plans like where you might live or what vacations you'd take. It was about the life she pictured alongside you. The feeling of waking up next to someone who understood her, the quiet rhythm of ordinary days made special by your presence, the milestones you'd celebrate together. These dreams were deeply personal, woven into the fabric of her mind and heart. When the relationship ends, those dreams don't immediately disappear. Instead, they linger, like shadows of a life that now feels out of reach, leaving her to grieve not only the loss of you, but also the loss of a future she had grown attached to. The Stoics understood the pain of expectations and attachment to outcomes. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." While this wisdom encourages acceptance of life's unpredictability, it doesn't erase the hurt of watching a cherished vision dissolve. For her, the shared dreams weren't just fantasies, they were anchors, giving her a sense of purpose and direction. With you gone, she's left navigating a life that suddenly feels uncertain, as though a map she once trusted has been torn apart. What makes the loss of shared dreams so uniquely painful is how intertwined they become with her sense of self. When she dreamed of a future with you, she wasn't just imagining you, she was imagining herself in that future. She saw herself as part of a partnership, perhaps stronger, happier, or more fulfilled. Without you, she may question what's left of that imagined version of herself. Who is she now, without the life she thought you were building together? These questions can leave her feeling untethered, searching for a way to rebuild her identity in the wake of that loss. The loss of shared dreams is one of the hardest parts of any breakup, but it's also a reminder of how deeply we influence one another's lives. For her, it's an invitation to rediscover her capacity to hope and plan anew. For you, it's a lesson in understanding the responsibility that comes with being part of someone's dreams. And in that understanding lies the potential to build relationships that are not only meaningful, but lasting. The unspoken bond of emotional understanding. One of the most profound losses a woman feels when you're no longer in her life is the absence of emotional understanding, the unique connection where she felt truly seen and heard. In relationships, emotional understanding isn't something that's explicitly discussed or consciously built. It's something that quietly grows in the spaces between words, in the way you responded to her moods, her struggles, and her joys. Losing you means losing the person who understood her in ways others might not, and that loss creates a sense of loneliness that can be deeply unsettling. Emotional understanding goes beyond simply knowing her likes, dislikes, or habits. It's about the subtle ways you noticed her, how you could tell when her silence meant she needed space, or when her laughter masked a deeper worry. Perhaps you were the one who could read the shift in her tone and know exactly what she needed without her having to explain it. This connection is rare, and it's why its absence feels so significant. She may now find herself in situations where she craves that depth of understanding, but is met instead with surface-level interactions. It's not just that you're gone, it's that the emotional shorthand you shared is gone too, leaving her feeling isolated in ways she didn't anticipate. The Stoics often spoke about the importance of self-awareness and inner harmony. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This principle applies to emotional understanding in relationships. For her, the bond you shared was not just a source of comfort, but also a mirror reflecting her inner world. You might have been the person who helped her untangle her thoughts, who made her feel less alone in her struggles, and who celebrated her victories with genuine joy. Losing that mirror forces her to navigate her emotions without the reassurance of someone who truly got her, and that's a lonely road to walk. The loss of emotional understanding isn't just about missing you, it's about missing the way she felt when you were there. For her, it's a lesson in self-reliance and healing. For you, it's a reminder of the profound impact you have when you truly see and understand someone. And in that understanding lies the key to building meaningful relationships that leave a lasting positive mark. The impact of feeling truly chosen. When a woman loses you, part of what she mourns, whether she expresses it or not, is the unique feeling of being chosen by you. Being chosen in a relationship isn't just about physical attraction or shared interests. It's about feeling valued, prioritized, and seen as irreplaceable in someone's life. When you chose her, you weren't just picking her as a partner, you were affirming her worth in a deeply personal way. The end of that choice, whether through your decision or circumstance, creates a void that feels deeply tied to her sense of self. Being chosen carries an emotional weight that often goes unnoticed until it's gone. It's the way you made her feel like she was the one you wanted to share your life with, not out of obligation or convenience, but because she mattered to you on a level that couldn't be replicated. Perhaps it was the way you looked at her when she wasn't watching, the times you celebrated her achievements as though they were your own, or the quiet moments when your presence alone reminded her that she was enough. That feeling of being chosen wasn't just romantic. It was validating. It spoke to her deepest desire to be seen and loved for exactly who she was. The Stoics believed that external validation should never define us. Epictetus said, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." But relationships often blur this line. For her, your choice of her wasn't just an external validation, it became part of her inner narrative, a reminder that she was someone worth loving, someone capable of being someone's priority. When that choice is no longer there, it's natural for her to feel a sense of loss that's far greater than just missing your company. It's a loss of feeling uniquely significant, a feeling that's hard to replace. The loss of feeling truly chosen is one of the most personal aspects of a breakup. For her, it's a journey of self-discovery and healing. For you, it's a reminder to approach relationships with care and intention, understanding the power of what it means to truly choose someone. In the end, being chosen is more than a romantic gesture. It's a bond, a commitment, and a reflection of what we value most. Recognizing this can transform not only how you love, but also how you leave. The absence of emotional reciprocity. One of the deepest lessons from the loss of a meaningful relationship is tied to emotional reciprocity, the natural give and take of feelings, support and understanding that forms the foundation of true connection. When a woman feels the loss of you, she's not just grieving the person you were, she's mourning the absence of the emotional balance you both created together. Losing you means losing someone who reciprocated her energy, someone who matched her in ways that made her feel seen, heard, and valued. It's the disruption of that emotional equilibrium that leaves a void she may struggle to fill. Emotional reciprocity is the lifeblood of any healthy relationship. It's found in the quiet moments when you met her halfway, whether it was by listening when she needed to vent, being present when she felt alone, or sharing a laugh when she wanted to celebrate life's small victories. These moments of mutual effort create a rhythm, a flow where both people feel invested and valued. For her, you might have been the person who helped her feel emotionally balanced, someone who didn't just take from her energy but gave back in equal measure. When that balance is gone, it leaves her feeling unsteady, as though she's been thrown off course. From a Stoic perspective, relationships are seen as opportunities to practice virtue, including fairness, understanding, and compassion. Seneca taught, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." In the moment, emotional reciprocity creates happiness because it fosters a sense of equality and mutual respect. For her, the loss of you isn't just the loss of your presence, it's the absence of someone who mirrored her efforts, someone who gave as much as they received. That kind of connection isn't easy to replicate, and its absence often leads to feelings of imbalance and emotional exhaustion as she adjusts to life without it. The loss of emotional reciprocity is a deeply personal and challenging experience, but it's also a powerful teacher. For her, it's a reminder of her strength and her ability to create meaningful connections. For you, it's an invitation to better understand the value of emotional balance and the impact you have on those you choose to share your life with. And in that understanding lies the key to forming connections that are not only fulfilling, but transformative. The disruption of emotional routine. One of the reasons a woman feels the loss of you so deeply lies in the disruption of the emotional routines that became part of her daily life. Relationships often develop rhythms, those comforting, predictable interactions that ground and stabilize us. It's the good morning text that starts her day, the inside jokes that made her laugh at random moments, the way you listened to her vent after a tough day, or even the unspoken rituals like how you said goodbye or greeted her after time apart. When you're no longer there, those routines vanish, leaving behind an emptiness that can feel overwhelming. Emotional routines are more than just habits. They're expressions of care and connection. Over time, they become woven into the fabric of her life, providing a sense of stability and consistency in an unpredictable world. For her, these small yet meaningful gestures were a reminder of your presence and investment in the relationship. Losing you doesn't just mean losing a person, it means losing the comforting predictability of those routines. This absence creates a void, where there was once a sense of order and warmth, and it often forces her to confront the chaos of life without the emotional anchor you provided. From a Stoic perspective, the impermanence of life is a central theme. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." While this wisdom encourages resilience, it doesn't diminish the very real pain of losing something that brought comfort. For her, rebuilding those routines, finding new ways to start her day, or new people to share her thoughts with, can feel like an uphill battle. It's not just about creating new habits, it's about letting go of the emotional significance tied to the ones she had with you. For you, the lesson is about understanding the power of those small, everyday moments. Often, we underestimate the impact of our actions, thinking that routines like texting goodnight or remembering her favorite coffee order are trivial. In reality, these moments carry deep meaning, representing effort and care. When they disappear, their absence speaks volumes. Epictetus taught, "What matters most is how well you walk through the fire." The disruption of emotional routines is more than just a logistical adjustment. It's a deeply emotional process. For her, it's a reminder of what she valued and a challenge to find stability within herself. For you, it's an opportunity to reflect on how you showed up in the relationship and how those small, everyday gestures can leave a lasting impact. In understanding this, you can approach future connections with greater care and intentionality, ensuring the rhythms you create together are always treated with the respect they deserve. The weight of unspoken words. Another reason the loss of you feels so heavy for a woman is the burden of the unspoken words that linger after you're gone. Every relationship has moments of hesitation, thoughts left unsaid, feelings unexpressed, or questions left unanswered. When the relationship ends, those unspoken words don't simply disappear. They become echoes, looping in her mind as she wonders what might have changed if she had said or heard the right thing at the right time. This emotional weight often becomes one of the hardest parts of moving on, as it leaves her with unresolved thoughts and lingering what-ifs. Unspoken words are powerful because they represent opportunities that can never be reclaimed. Perhaps she wanted to tell you how deeply she appreciated you, but didn't know how to say it. Or maybe there were doubts or concerns she wished she'd brought up, but was too afraid of creating conflict. On the other side, she may have longed to hear certain reassurances from you, words that would have made her feel secure, loved, or understood. The absence of these conversations creates a sense of unfinished business, leaving her to grapple with the stories she tells herself about what those silences meant. From a Stoic perspective, the weight of unspoken words is a lesson in accepting what we cannot change. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." For her, this means confronting the reality that not every thought will be shared, and not every moment will offer closure. But that doesn't make the process any less painful. The weight of unspoken words isn't just about regret, it's a lesson in the value of clarity and courage. For her, it's a chance to embrace honesty as a cornerstone of her relationships. For you, it's a reminder to never underestimate the power of expressing what's in your heart. And in that understanding lies the potential for deeper, more meaningful connections moving forward. The void of mutual purpose. One of the most profound reasons a woman may feel your absence more than you realize is tied to the loss of a shared sense of purpose. In a relationship, it's not just about companionship, it's about building something bigger together. A life, a vision, or even a shared mission that intertwines your paths. When you're gone, it's not just the connection she mourns, but the dissolution of the joint purpose that made her feel like she was working towards something meaningful alongside you. That void, where there was once a sense of direction, can leave her feeling untethered and unsure of how to move forward. Mutual purpose is the glue of many strong relationships. It's found in the big picture plans, like working toward a future together, but also in the smaller day-to-day goals that gave the relationship depth. Maybe you both worked to support each other's dreams, encouraged each other through challenges, or shared ambitions that felt exciting to pursue. For her, these shared efforts created a rhythm, a partnership where she wasn't just living for herself, but contributing to something larger that you both nurtured. When that purpose disappears, it creates a sense of disorientation. She's no longer walking a shared path. She's left standing alone, wondering what direction to take. The Stoics often spoke of purpose as central to a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "People exist for one another. Teach them or endure them." In a relationship, the shared purpose creates a feeling of being connected in a way that transcends the individual. For her, you weren't just a partner, you were a co-architect of her life's direction. Losing you isn't just about losing love, it's about losing a collaborator in her vision for the future. This can feel like a setback, as if the momentum she built alongside you has suddenly come to a halt. The void of mutual purpose isn't just an ending, it's an opening for growth. For her, it's a chance to rebuild her path, stronger and more aligned with her personal values. For you, it's a reminder to approach relationships with greater care, knowing that shared purpose is one of the most meaningful bonds two people can create. The fragility of emotional dependence. Another reason a woman may feel the loss of you so profoundly is the fragility of emotional dependence that develops in a close relationship. Emotional dependence isn't necessarily unhealthy. It's natural to rely on someone you trust for support, comfort, and validation. In a relationship, this dependence often forms quietly, in the way she turned to you during hard times, leaned on your presence for reassurance, and found strength in knowing you were there for her. When you leave, that safety net is suddenly gone, leaving her to navigate her emotions without the grounding she once felt with you. Emotional dependence is not about weakness. It's about the human need for connection. Relationships thrive when there's a balance of giving and receiving, where both partners provide a sense of security that makes the challenges of life more bearable. For her, you may have been the person who offered that emotional safety, someone she trusted to hold space for her struggles and celebrate her victories. Losing you means losing that dependable source of support, and it can feel like being left to carry an emotional weight that was once shared. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from within and that dependence on external sources can make us vulnerable. Epictetus wrote, "He who is not a slave to circumstances will find his freedom." While this is a powerful ideal, the reality is that relationships often blur the lines between internal and external strength. For her, the emotional dependence she developed with you wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a reflection of the trust and intimacy you shared. Now, in your absence, she must confront the discomfort of rebuilding that strength alone. The fragility of emotional dependence is a reminder of the deep impact relationships have on our inner lives. For her, it's a lesson in self-discovery and resilience. For you, it's a call to recognize the weight of emotional bonds and the care required to nurture them. Together, these insights can pave the way for more intentional and fulfilling connections in the future. The loneliness of losing emotional intimacy. When a relationship ends, one of the deepest losses a woman feels is the absence of emotional intimacy. The unspoken closeness that made her feel connected to you on a soul-deep level. Emotional intimacy isn't about the grand gestures or the physical presence. It's the quiet, vulnerable bond where she felt safe sharing her fears, dreams, and inner thoughts without judgment. Losing you isn't just about losing a partner, it's about losing the person who knew her in ways few others did. That kind of closeness isn't easily replaced, and its absence creates a loneliness that lingers long after the relationship ends. In a world where surface-level connections are common, emotional intimacy is rare and precious. It's built through countless small moments, staying up late to talk about life's uncertainties, comforting each other during tough times, or simply knowing when a hug or a kind word was needed without being asked. For her, those moments were more than just interactions. They were proof that someone truly understood and cared for her. When you're gone, it's not just the loss of your presence she feels, it's the loss of a space where she could be her most authentic self without fear of rejection. The Stoics understood the power of connection, but cautioned against relying too heavily on external sources for fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." While this philosophy encourages resilience, emotional intimacy is an exception. It's not merely an external thing, it becomes intertwined with her sense of belonging and her ability to trust. Losing it means she must rebuild that sense of connection, both with herself and with others, and that's no small task. For you, this lesson is about recognizing the responsibility that comes with emotional intimacy. When you share that level of closeness with someone, you're not just connecting, you're creating a bond that impacts how they see themselves and the world. Epictetus advised, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." Did you nurture that bond with care, or did you take it for granted? Understanding the weight of emotional intimacy can help you approach future relationships with greater respect, ensuring you honor the depth of the connections you build. For her, the loss of emotional intimacy is a call to reconnect with herself. While it's painful to lose a relationship that felt so deeply meaningful, it's also a chance to cultivate a deeper intimacy within her own mind and heart. Stoicism teaches that inner peace is the foundation of strength, and this moment, though challenging, is an opportunity for her to build that foundation. It's about rediscovering who she is without the lens of the relationship and finding comfort in her own company. The loneliness of losing emotional intimacy is a profound and personal experience. For her, it's a journey toward self-trust and healing. For you, it's a reminder to value the depth of your connections and to approach intimacy with intention and care. In understanding this, you can create relationships that are not only meaningful, but also deeply nurturing for both yourself and your partner. The ripple effect of shared memories. Another reason the loss of you feels so significant for a woman is the way shared memories continue to ripple through her life, even after you're gone. Relationships are built on moments, joyful, challenging, ordinary, and extraordinary. And those moments don't vanish when the relationship ends. Instead, they linger, resurfacing in unexpected ways. A favorite song, a place you visited together, or even the smell of a familiar cologne can trigger a flood of emotions, pulling her back into the time when you were part of her world. The weight of these memories isn't just nostalgic, it's a reminder of what was and what can no longer be. Shared memories are powerful because they're not just recollections. They're tied to emotions, sensations, and experiences that made her feel alive. Perhaps you celebrated milestones together, comforted each other through hardships, or simply spent quiet moments enjoying each other's company. These memories form a tapestry of the relationship, woven with threads of meaning that are hard to unravel. Losing you doesn't erase those memories. Instead, it changes their context, turning them from sources of comfort into bittersweet reminders of what's been lost. The Stoics believed in living in the present, not dwelling on the past. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." While this wisdom is profound, shared memories are not so easily set aside. For her, they're not just a record of the past. They're part of her identity, shaped by the moments you shared. Letting go of the relationship means reinterpreting those memories, finding a way to carry them forward without being weighed down by their emotional resonance. The ripple effect of shared memories is a reminder of how deeply relationships shape us. For her, it's a chance to honor the past while moving forward with strength and grace. For you, it's a lesson in creating moments that leave a positive mark, ensuring the echoes of your presence bring light rather than regret. Together, these insights pave the way for relationships that are both meaningful and transformative. The lingering sense of what could have been. One of the most heart-wrenching aspects of losing you is the persistent question of what could have been. When a relationship ends, it's not just the memories of the past that haunt someone, it's the untapped potential of the future you were building together. For a woman deeply invested in the relationship, the breakup doesn't just signify the end of what was, but the death of the possibilities she envisioned with you. Every dream, every plan, and every small hope you shared now feels unfinished, leaving her stuck in the liminal space of imagining a future that will never come to life. The pain of unrealized potential is unique because it exists in the realm of imagination. It's not just about mourning the moments you had together. It's about grieving the life she thought you would build side by side. Perhaps she envisioned starting a family with you, traveling to places you both dreamed of, or even just growing old together in the simple joys of companionship. These imagined futures weren't just idle fantasies. They were meaningful aspirations tied to the connection you shared. When the relationship ends, she's left wondering, could we have been happier if we'd tried harder? Could things have worked out if the timing were different? These questions echo in her mind, creating a loop of what-ifs that can feel impossible to silence. From a Stoic perspective, this fixation on unfulfilled possibilities is natural but ultimately unproductive. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." While the future she imagined with you may have been outside her control, the emotional attachment to that vision is what keeps the pain alive. For her, the loss of the imagined future feels like losing a part of herself, because those dreams weren't just about you. They were about who she wanted to become within the relationship. The sense of what could have been is a universal ache, but it's also a lesson in impermanence and growth. For her, it's a reminder that the future is always uncertain, no matter how clearly it seemed mapped out. For you, it's a call to approach relationships with care, understanding that shared dreams carry emotional weight. Together, these insights can lead to a deeper appreciation of the fragility and beauty of human connection. The rebuilding of trust in love. One of the hardest lessons a woman faces after losing you is learning to trust in love again. Relationships are built on vulnerability, and every time someone opens their heart, they take a risk. For her, being with you wasn't just about companionship. It was an act of faith in the belief that love could grow, flourish, and sustain her. When the relationship ends, that faith is shaken, and she's left questioning not only the bond you shared, but the reliability of love itself. The process of rebuilding that trust isn't just about healing from heartbreak. It's about reclaiming her belief in connection and her willingness to risk vulnerability again. Love requires trust, not just in the other person, but in the process of giving and receiving affection. When she chose to be with you, she likely let down her walls, allowing herself to be seen in her most unguarded state. Whether it was through sharing her fears, supporting your dreams, or standing by you during hard times, she invested in the idea that the connection was worth the risk. Losing you doesn't just feel like a rejection, it feels like evidence that love may not be as dependable as she once believed. Every moment of trust that was broken, whether through misunderstandings, unmet expectations, or the simple act of parting ways, adds to the difficulty of opening her heart again. The Stoics believed in resilience and self-reliance as pathways to inner peace. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." For her, the challenge isn't just mourning the loss of you, it's overcoming the fear that loving again might lead to more pain. While Stoicism teaches that we should not place too much reliance on external circumstances, love often feels like the exception. It's not easy to untangle the lessons of the past from the hope for the future, and for her, rebuilding trust means finding a way to hold both loss and hope in the same hand. The rebuilding of trust in love is a difficult but transformative process. For her, it's a chance to rediscover her resilience and open herself to the possibility of deeper, more meaningful connections. For you, it's a lesson in honoring the trust you're given and understanding its significance. Together, these lessons remind us that love, though fragile, is one of the most powerful forces we can experience, and one worth trusting in again and again. The final thought: are you ready to see yourself? Every relationship leaves behind a story, a series of lessons, emotions, and reflections that shape who we are. And maybe, just maybe, this one has left you with more than you realized. As we explored the reasons someone might feel your absence more deeply than you expected, it wasn't just about understanding them, it was about understanding yourself. So here's the question you didn't expect. How do you show up in someone's life? Are you the kind of person who leaves behind strength, love, and growth? Or are you still learning, fumbling, figuring out how to be better in the lives you touch? The answer matters, but not as much as your willingness to ask the question in the first place. That's where growth begins, in the uncomfortable but necessary space of reflection. And here's the twist. Growth doesn't just happen in love or loss. It happens when you decide that today, yes, this very moment, you'll be the version of yourself who chooses mindfulness, intention, and care. Now, I know this isn't your typical hit the like button kind of conversation, but think about it. What would it mean to change the way you engage with others? To leave behind something meaningful in every interaction, even when it's hard? Let that sink in for a moment. If this made you reflect even a little, or feel something you didn't expect, don't keep it to yourself. The comments are more than just a place to share opinions. They're where conversations like this one become alive. What resonated with you? What lesson felt like it was meant for you today? Let me know. Your words might inspire someone else reading this. And hey, if you're ready to dig deeper into this kind of soul-level reflection, don't just scroll past. Hit subscribe, not because I'm asking you to, but because these are the kinds of conversations we need more of in a world that moves too fast. Together, we can slow down, think bigger, and grow stronger. So here it is, your mind, your body, your story. What will you do with it? Drop a comment. I'm listening.